welcome. We are back from the dead after a bit of a hiatus there. But damn it, we are moving forward with this thing no matter what. Like Jason, we just keep coming back for more. And we are going to finish the Friday the 13th franchise. And we have got done watching Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, of course, continuing with the Honey's Horror Review series, it is more so my reaction, or my review, her reaction, because she is not very well versed in these horror films whatsoever. I am. I've become more a fan over the years. And so this is a kind of fun way to see these films through new eyes and getting her take on all of this. Now, this is, of course, like I said, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, released in 1989. The final film released by Paramount Pictures before they had sold the rights to New Line because, of course, as most fans know at this point, Paramount had always been kind of ashamed at the success of the Friday the 13th movies, and they pretty much wanted nothing to do with that at this point. So this is kind of the end of an era. So some fans could even look at it as like, well, it's kind of like the last maybe canon film, at least during this point in time. So yeah, I mean, as the title suggests, Jason Takes Manhattan, this was meant to be a full-on Jason landing in Manhattan and just wreaking havoc. But as fate would have it, that was well within their intentions for this film, but for budgetary restrictions, they didn't exactly make do with that promise. So as far as from a marketing standpoint, it's a bit of a cop-out. So very, very, very much a cop-out. So yeah, the film mostly takes place on a boat, and as many have already made the jokes to death by this point that it should be titled Jason Takes a Cruise or Jason Takes a Boat, whatever have you. So anyway, we'll just jump right into it. Walking away from this one, how did you feel about it?
I definitely had mentioned, because I know I had you pause it at some point to see how much time was left. And I'm like, we're still on the boat. I mean, the boat was on fire and they were like pretty much getting, ready to get off the boat at this point.
Yep.
But like, okay, it wasn't quite halfway through, so it was almost half the movie was on the boat, and even so, he didn't exactly take Manhattan. There wasn't much to be had, just like a back alley chase, couple of deaths sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, obviously I like Kane hotter, and I recognize a few faces from other things, but
yeah,
obviously could have been better.
Yeah, the most recognizable face from this film is perhaps Kelly Hu, which you recognize as the sorceress from Scorpion King, amongst other things. She was Lady Deathstrike in X2, and a bunch of other things. And the father character who some may not know this, but it was actually Chrissy's father on Three's Company, which, we had been recently watching some old Three's Company episodes. My mother, at a younger age, kind of got me hooked on old school stuff, and I kind of consider myself, an old soul in a lot of things. I enjoy going back and watching certain things from the past, but yeah, he was actually on Three's Company at one point in time. But yeah, so as you were saying with the back alley stuff, the funny thing is that those shots weren't even filmed in New York. That was
No,
all
of
filmed in
course
Canada.
not.
That was in Canada because, of course, it's very cheap to film these types of things in Canada, as opposed to New York, which is very expensive. Which is part of the problem with this film is that, like I said, they had set out because they were going to do scenes at like at the Statue of Liberty. They were going to do something in Madison Square Garden, which we could assume was the Julius, whole interaction there. You can assume that was going to be that case. So yeah, they had a bunch of stuff planned, but I mean, it's just one of those things that is such a failure from a marketing standpoint. Now, I can only imagine, having been a fan, back then, seeing this movie and then just not getting what you were promised. I mean, because I've been so far removed from it, because I didn't really start getting that heavily into these films until about like 10 years ago, when my horror fandom started growing that much more. And so I've been far enough removed from it, and I got enough understanding, as I started watching more and more of these films, to where it's like, okay, yeah, I understand the history behind that. That's fine, as long as the film can deliver on the fun factor. Like, is the stuff on the boat good? Honestly, for me, not so much.
Could have been better, yeah.
It honestly could have been
Obviously.
so much better. Like I said, if you just remove yourself from the past mistakes of them making this film and realizing, yeah, okay, fine, doesn't take place in Manhattan. As much as you would love to see that, can the boat stuff be good? And it just honestly does not deliver. So how did you feel for the majority of that? Do you feel that the kills were worth it, or the characters hit you in any way at all?
Just average kills, honestly. The characters were, I guess your typical characters, high school grads, whatever. You got the kind of prissy, mean girl, and then she gets her comeuppance, and I mean, you'll like Kelly's character, but obviously she gets hers, unfortunately. I mean, she didn't really do anything, but kind of tag along. And the father captain on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know I said out loud, well, during that scene, I'm like, that could have been a lot better. I mean, it looked like it barely touched him, and then it was just like a kind of boring little cut,
Yeah, what's so odd about that particular kill is that it just randomly decides it wants to do this weird slow motion effect, which doesn't really add up. They just throw that in there. Like there's no
it
other
was really
there's no other
awkward.
scenes in the film that really that shoot it like that, at least as far as the kills go, and yet for some reason that went randomly, and he's just left with this shot of him just looking like, oh snap, my throat just got slit, and it's very, very odd and kind of misplaced there. But yeah, and you'll notice with this one is that a lot of the kills themselves are kind of cutaway, or you don't really get the full effect of the kills. Again, it's just one of those things where they don't want to, they just did not want to give you the full effect. Just with the MPAA, they just butcher these films with a lot of those decisions, and it just kind of takes away from a lot of it. But yeah, that's the problem with this one too, is that even what little effects that you do get, particularly most of the special effects you get are with kid Jason and those little flashbacks, because the kid and the makeup and all of that. And those shots in particular really display just how weak the budget was from the start, honestly, just because the makeup was trash. I really do. Like every time you see the kid, like the makeup gets progressively worse. It looks more and more rubbery as it goes on. Even the shots of Jason throughout, grown Jason, you just see the shots of his head and his neck and stuff. I'm like, you can just tell it just has this spongy look. It just doesn't look as authentic, especially coming off of New Blood, which I know it's been a little while, but you saw what he looked like by the end of that movie, full on. Like that's easily the best he's looked unmasked.
Yeah.
And you go from this, it's complete polar opposite. And that's part of the problem too, is that they just don't deliver.
Obviously, whatever it looked like when he lifted it up at that one point for those gangster guys, those gang guys, it was good enough, or at least they.
Yeah, because you just had the back shot, and like I said, just the moment itself. I mean, this film has its moments. Like
when the best one is where he looks up and tilts his head at the billboard. I mean, that says something about the movie as a whole. That was my favorite part, because Kane Hodder and the head tilt it slays me.
Yeah,
I can't help it.
Yeah, I mean that just goes to show what he brings to it. Because I would say, as far as Jason performances, even following the next two, especially with the next one, which we'll get to, that's a whole other story. But even probably comparison to like Jason X, this may be his best Jason performance, despite the bad makeup and the bad like pretty much everything else, as far like the physicality that he brings to it, and something about like as far as the overall look, it's probably a bit too much with the slime, and he's so like just soaked throughout. It's a bit much. Like at no point does he dry off at all.
No,
He's just constantly
he spent
wet
an awful lot of time in water and the
and just
rain
slimy,
and,
and
yeah.
it's like that may work for you, it may not. The mask itself, I do dig, and something about that mask in particular, along with Kane's performance, something about it just kind of accentuates, just this the brutalness of his character and how he's just like
Yeah, he
this,
is,
like
but the
Jason in
kills
this one
just
in
don't reflect it.
it just like again, just as far as with his physicality, he just comes across as like, yeah, I'm not necessarily like scary, like haunting, but like just a guy who just seriously wants to whoop your ass. Like again, when he's on screen, you feel that presence. He's
I
just
know,
like if
and
he's gonna get his hands on you, you're
in the
screwed.
last one, when, because that was his first one, I had said there's just a brute force aspect to him.
Yeah.
And when he tossed the one dude in the diner, I'm like, that dude was big, and he just kind of went, rah.
Yeah, honestly,
Awesome.
the best moments in this film, in this one, is that are really just those small moments where it's not like necessarily a pure kill, but just these moments where he gets to show just like how much he just doesn't give a shit. Like again, just when he's like just walking by the punks and he just kicks their boombox over,
That was funny.
and he just turns around. He just knows how ugly he is, and he shows them, and he's just like, yeah, get the hell out of here.
It's okay, dude.
Yeah, and then again, like what you just said in the diner with Ken Kersinger, who, like I said, goes on to play Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. Again, he just walks up to him, slaps his hand, tosses him across the diner. Again, just those moments in particular are easily what gives this movie some form of shine that it thoroughly lacks throughout. So yeah, like as far as the a-hole father character, it's like, yeah, you hate him so much. Like it's just you can't wait to see him get his comeuppance. But honestly, he's probably the best performer in the movie, just because again he's just
His
good
experience.
at that. Yeah, because he's a seasoned actor, and he's just good at playing that a-hole. As much as you hate him, easily the better performer of the film. I would say even the next best is probably the Julius character. He very minor compared to everyone else, but for what little bit you do get of him, he adds a little something more to it that a lot of the others don't really bring. So as far as the main girl, Rennie, how do you feel about her compared to some of the past ones? Did you feel that she really left a mark with you, or was she a bit lackluster?
I don't know. The whole movie was kind of weird. She just had like a weird. I don't know.
Like she just wasn't like in the moment, kind of. Like she
I don't
just.
know. I know the one scene where those two, back alley guys kind of shot her up with something, and it's like, okay, she's like on drugs, but the whole rest of it, beginning and end, I mean, it's just, I don't know. She just had this look about her. I don't know if it was like, well, I guess you could say resting bitch face, but something just was off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, she displayed emotion, obviously. I mean, she's not like Brie Larson. She's got a range of emotion, but...
Yeah, it's hard to really pinpoint where her talent is, because I mean she's a very pretty woman, and I do feel like there are little subtle moments to where she kind of does display like some form of presence, and you can kind of like feel whatever sort of mental break she's kind of going through, but at the same time though she's not really given much, to the point to where everyone previously, and then you get to this one, I consider her probably the weakest final girl of all of them thus far, just because first of all, her backstory is just...
It was really weird.
And I know that these films, just for their severe lack of consistency and timeline and just really giving a damn, because it starts off with I mean, we didn't really talk about that, but it starts off with the two kids on the little boat at Camp Crystal Lake, and of course, like, is picking up at least these films kind of help, pick up where the last one left off, even though maybe surrounding elements don't line up. At least where, like I said, where you left Jason, it picks up consistently, because when he was pulled down at the end of part 7, and then you just have like this electrical wiring underneath, which whenever that was placed there, and yet no one ever bothered to scoop up Jason's body after that was.
Yeah, it was right there. He was like on top of it.
Yeah, and it's just it's just one of those like weird things. It's like, okay, well, I guess that's there now, but we gotta bring Jason back somehow.
Shifted that much within however long the time span was between the two movies.
Yeah, and
not physically, but I mean, like, you know,
and the gag with like him getting his new mask. I mean, like, I get that, but the funny thing is that the new mask he has still has the same chip in the mask as he had with his last one that was destroyed, which doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know why they even bothered to put that in there, knowing that the last one that was technically the same one used throughout all the previous films.
I didn't really notice it. I mean, not till
I know,
later.
but
I thought there was a strike towards him, and then he like got it again. But
no,
I'd have to go back.
Yeah, no, but it does. It has the same axe mark as the one that was before. For some odd reason, I guess they felt like they needed to have it, but technically it doesn't make any sense as to why he would have a mask that has that. I don't. Just little things like that, but. And also, too, a lot of people would point out as to how that boat managed to make it onto the water in which their cruise was, because knowing that this is a lake and how it's attached to the ocean and how it happened to go from there to there, I don't know. And what Jason was doing that whole time, I guess he was just chilling in there, just eating their snacks. Who knows that whole time? I don't know. Just the very funny logic of this franchise.
Lack thereof.
Yeah, or lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah. As far as Rennie again and her backstory, like when they ever go to Camp Crystal Lake and he tried to teach her to swim, supposedly teach her to swim. Again, just that backstory is really kind of dull. And the shots of Jason, again, going back to Kid Jason, don't make any sense because he has full head of hair. And even the first time you see him, his eye isn't even, like, he's not even deformed. He's a normal looking kid. And you notice that, like, at least with each vision that she has, he kind of gets progressively worse, which I guess they were trying to do. But again, it doesn't make sense with the first vision why he looked normal. I don't know. And one of them, he looked kind of Asian, honestly, when all the smoke was coming out and he started to have the messed up eye. He looked kind of Asian. I don't know if he was an Asian kid or not, but he did look that way. And it's kind of distracting when you think about it. It's just like, but he's not.
It was weird.
I mean, those effects were just so bad, and it just doesn't tie in as to why she would even have these visions in the first place. I mean, if it was like the character from the last movie where it's a telepathic girl, like she can do all this stuff, and she has these powers.
Yeah,
and I think
the telekinetic stuff.
And if I remember correctly, I think it was intended for her to come back. I can't remember the exact reason as to why that didn't happen, whether it was for money or whatever. But yeah, I think original intentions were for her to come back, but of course that didn't happen. Yeah, so again, so Jason's just doing his thing all across his boat. Yeah, like you said, the one girl who's just kind of who's the bitch character, and who just has her little lapdog of the nerdy guy just with his camera, and they try to blackmail the teacher at one point, and she's just all
really
over him.
Nasty.
Yeah, you could tell, like, he knows it's messed up at first and stuff, but she starts disrobing, and you could tell he's just kind of like, well, it's just like, what are you doing? Type of thing. Like he he wants to see more of that, but but at least I give him credit that he wasn't shady enough to where he didn't try to go any further.
On her,
no, he may be an a-hole, but he's not a complete creep, so I'll give him credit for that. And so, yeah, it's hard. I mean, we had fun watching it. I personally did have fun watching it this time because we can make our jokes along the way just because in nature, how just not great of a film that it is. but at the same time, again, it's just not a great film. And then when you finally get to Manhattan, it's just like, well, damn, it's about time. But of course, it's just these lots in Canada, apparently, and it's not.
Boring
And
chalk
once you actually
graffiti.
get to Times Square, which of course you can obviously tell that they actually authentically at least got that much, it's so night and day by comparison. And so it is an iconic moment to at least have that, to see that shot going around him, and then he gets to look around.
He's like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
But then he's like, whoop, nope, kill.
Yep, right back to it. So yeah, it is nice to finally get to have that moment on film, and as I've said, it would be great to see that whenever this lawsuit, if it ever comes to an end, and all of this, that just remake Jason Takes Manhattan and just go all out and just do the film that we never got. Just have fun with it, man. Just have it be an event film, and then just again give us something grand like that. I would say that. They don't have to, but I would suggest that would be a fun idea. I mean, because why not, right?
Yeah, he can have a whole thing of like killing everybody on a subway car and just. I can just imagine the chaos, and he gets off and just goes, up the steps somewhere and just, I don't know, something catches his eye and he just goes and starts killing in some other sort of building.
Like he just goes off on the subway, and just like it's madness, and you just have some guys in the corner, with their cell phones going, "World Star, you see what's happening back here? I ain't never seen nothing like this." Like you could just do so much, like just so much fun, self-aware humor.
Yeah.
I'm like, again, just I think it would be a great idea
for sure.
to eventually go that route. I don't see why not.
All kinds of social media.
Yeah.
Doing those videos and all that stuff, the ones.
Yeah.
And then, and then, that'd be perfect. He does it, and then Jason just looks like, and comes up and just like kills him, and I don't know, some funny friggin' fashion, and then
because
viral.
there was just a video that just came out where it was like a little person, they were on the subway like dressed as Chucky, and they're like, I think it was just done as like a joke or something, but he was just like grabbing at this woman or whatever, and it's funny as hell, and you just see all these people filming. They're not doing a damn thing, they don't know what's happening, he's just letting it again, that's just New York for you. People just, they're used to so much, and they just let shit fly. They don't care. So, but the thing about this movie is that it's so kind of over the top, and like its stereotype of what it thinks New York is, at least especially from like back in the day, and just how grimy and dirty it is. I mean, you literally have toxic waste in the sewers getting flushed out at midnight every night. And where does, like, in what world does that does this happen?
Honestly, I was expecting the Ninja Turtles to pop up, because I think that was,
it would
like,
make
the same
sense, honestly,
time.
if you think about it. If
Yeah,
you
I
think
think
about
it
the
was
original
the same
film.
year even. I'm like,
Well, the thing was that
pizza guy's got 30 seconds, So
that would be funny as hell if he just walks by and you just see the Ninja Turtles on the corpse.
yeah, right?
I mean, again, they just might as well have.
Like they were babies or something.
Yeah, I mean, it was released in '89, the same year that Batman came out, and you can see in Times Square that they have the billboard for it, so you can kind of see that Jason and Batman almost kind of technically had a crossover there. I mean,
yeah, a lot of good movies came out that year.
Yeah.
Well, this not being one of them, but
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say that the a-hole father, he probably got the worst death, just because I can't imagine being dunked into a barrel full of like this nasty ass toxic waste, and just
I don't
just
know
having
what
to
it
die
was.
that
It was
way, just having to
oil
have
barrel
that.
full of just...
No, it's just toxic waste, like just nasty ass New York sewer water, just with a dead rat on top. And just to have, like, just knowing that that's going down his lungs, he has to drown in that. I would probably take Julius's fate over that, or even the rock to the gut, as opposed to that.
Yeah, the steam room.
Yeah,
that was pretty. That was interesting.
Yeah. I would say Kelly Hu's death is probably one of my favorites too, just because where, again, it's very simple, but it's very effective. Just how it's done.
The
Just because,
classic
just because,
choking
just
and
because
the
it was like the
lift.
disco room, and he had the music, and he's just like holding her up and shit, and he just slams her down. Music stops. Simple, but very, very effective. Although it doesn't make much sense from a technical standpoint when you're watching it, and he's like teleporting all across the room. She looks one way, she turns one way, she's still looking, and then he's right there again. I don't know, because you go through this whole film and people have said that it's like he has teleportation abilities, because how does he go from one spot to the other and knowing where he's going, and how he managed to like take a shortcut in front of, no one knows. It just doesn't make any sense.
Um,
Although in that part you could probably justify and say that it was the coke that she had snorted earlier.
I thought
Maybe
she refused
it
it, but I
did.
mean,
She, I don't remember. I don't remember. Did she? She
pretty
could-
pretty
I think she
sure,
did it. I
but
think she did it, if I'm not mistaken. So you could probably argue that it was the drugs
there's
that probably
possible drug usage. I
messed her up in
don't know.
that scene. But anyway, so yeah, you cut to the end of the film, and yeah, he's chasing them down the sewer, and
That was really
he
weird.
gets flushed out by toxic waste, and he pulls the mask off first of all, and where she splashed it in his face, and that look of Jason is just
It was really.
again
I
just
don't know what to make of that. It was just.
it was just straight bad, just bad makeup. Especially like I
Yeah.
said, you go from part 7 to that,
It was a really
and
bad
and
Halloween
again
mask
just
sort of thing.
and again just like I said, the intimidation factor of Jason in
Oh,
this movie.
dollar store Halloween mask.
Yeah.
That's what that made me
Yeah,
think of.
yeah, but again, just like the way that Jason comes across in this movie, and then you see the actual face. Like I know he's still technically supposed to be a monster, he's deformed or what,
Well, yeah,
but still,
but it was
but he looks
awful.
like a puppet by the end of it, and the whole like mystique of what he
Yes,
had
sock
throughout
puppet,
is
yeah.
kind of destroyed once you see him unmasked. Again, as opposed to the last one or any of them before that, the intimidation factor was kind of lost. And then as he's getting the whole flush of toxic waste towards him, he's like, "Mommy," and he vomits on himself,
Blech.
and then
Spitting out the water
and
or
all of that
whatever.
causes him to form back into a child, which again, logically, I don't know what the hell they were trying to go for
I don't
there.
know.
It just does not work at all, and yeah, it's just.
I don't know if it was the drugs that the chick was on and she was kind of imagining that.
No, because he saw that shit
But
too.
even that is a
No,
stretch.
like toxic waste, mutations.
I don't know.
And
Sewer
the
gas.
child
You're
within,
tripping.
and he's just.
I don't know.
So I guess we just leave
I
this
think they were tripping.
this 8-year-old's body just down in the toxic filled sewers for eternity. I guess I don't know.
I don't know. It
Like,
was,
there's no,
ugh.
and you just see him in this like little tidy whitey underwear. He's just laying there, and you're just like, okay, I guess that's it. That's it for Jason. And yeah, that brings an end to the Paramount era. I mean, it was '89. It was the end of the '80s. I mean, it really was. It's like that. That's how he went out, and it was very much unsatisfying. At least the dog survived. At least you get the
Yeah.
dog at the end, so that's a good thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So final thoughts of Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, the two best parts of the movie, the billboard, and then scaring those punk gang member dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, yeah. Up to
I honestly, the real. Yeah, I was cracking jokes the whole time, especially with like I said, the billboard thing. I'm just like he's tilting his head like a dog.
yeah. It's a good one for like a riff tracks, like just to make
Oh,
just to have
yeah.
fun and to watch if you're drunk
That's
or
pretty
something.
much what I was doing, except I'm not.
Yeah,
drunk.
I mean, if we eventually do that, I mean, it's a good one for that at least. Just have a drink or two and then just rip it to shreds.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
again, good intentions at the beginning. Again, it's not like they didn't want to do that, but again, budgetary constraint. They just no, because they had all the advertisements going into this. Jason Takes Manhattan. This is supposed to be this big thing, and then just such a cop out marketing. But hey, that's way back in the past now. So we're left
Yeah.
with what we're left with. So yeah, but yeah, again, just in the end, intentions aside, if they had just delivered on just a better, more fun film, I could forgive a lot more of that. But for the most part, it just fails on every front. And up until this point, I would say that this is the weakest entry. It has its shining moments, like I said, but of course, not enough to really justify this to be a fan favorite, if you will. I can't. No.
Definitely not.
No. Anyway, that will do it for our Jason Takes Manhattan review. This is our longest one yet. We've been doing this for about a half hour now. But you know what? Screw it. Going all in with it. I don't care. Yeah, so we will be back again with Friday the 13th, Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell. Or it's not even Part 9. It's just Jason Goes to Hell, because it's New Line. They don't have the Friday rights, so they just went with Jason titles after this. But yeah, that in of itself is a whole other animal of interesting choices.
I don't care. It's gonna be better than this one. And then after that is when I've seen the last two, final two.
Yeah,
I've seen, but not in a long time.
Yeah,
so.
Just a hint ahead of time. I mean, as people can say, as much as Jason going into space is a crazy ass idea, it's a hell of a lot better than this one. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
But that will do it for our review of Jason Takes Manhattan. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.